Welcome to Heaven Knows Astrology. We're going to be looking at this particular birth chart where there are some very exciting changes happening this year. Let's go through those together. To start with, congratulations on surviving your first Saturn return. Between March of 2024 to about now, almost March 2026, you've gone through your Saturn return in Pisces in the 7th house, really helping you grow, change, mature, and evolve, navigating challenges, usually in relationships or in partnerships. And this doesn't always have to mean in romantic relationships. Notice how much you've grown and changed even in other forms of partnership. Close friends, close sibling, coworkers, classmates, that kind of thing. Learning how your needs have changed, learning how to set boundaries, learning how to adapt to and understand when those around you have changed too. And that one can be really hard. Sometimes Saturn through the 7th house means that's when we learn who belongs in our life and who doesn't. And because this is all happening in Pisces, it's very much about learning to set boundaries and communicate clearly without just escaping from the situation or putting your head in the sand. So officially, in the eyes of the universe, you really are an adult now. Congratulations. Usually, I like to say that after the Saturn return, everything is smooth sailing and a lot easier from there. And sure, to a certain extent, Saturn can't throw anything new at you that you haven't in one way or another experienced by now. It's gone full circle around and hit every point in your chart. But you do have some other very exciting things happening. One of those is, start with now in March, Saturn and Pluto both forming very supportive aspects towards your midheaven and Mercury. Again, Saturn likes to behave like a tough teacher, pushing us to learn, to grow, to navigate challenges, to set goals and achieve something great. Pluto likes to do a total transformation, out with the old and in with something new. Let's burn everything to the ground and build something new from scratch. Now, usually Saturn and Pluto can be pretty tough and heavy energies, but when they're forming these supportive angles to your midheaven and Mercury, I see some pretty positive and interesting changes. So your midheaven is very much about your career, your legacy, your public image, how you'll be remembered long after you're done here. And Mercury is about your mind, how you think and speak and plan and communicate and problem solve and your sense of humor. It's how you express yourself and what's going on within your mind. Because these are in Gemini, your career will never just be one thing. The way you use your mind to express yourself to an audience, to a public image, the way that you use your mind to benefit your career and your future, it's never going to be just one thing or one way or one style. I wouldn't be surprised if you write a book and give speeches and seminars or TED Talks, if you start some kind of channel. There will be different ways that you use your mind to further your career, your knowledge, and your future and help other people through that. This kind of starts now. Obviously, you've already been doing that to a large extent, but with Pluto and Saturn forming these supportive angles now in March, this is kind of like opening the door for you to go, okay, where is my career taking me? What does my future look like? How am I using my mind to its greatest potential? And then following up in April, Uranus is going to be opposite to where Pluto was when you were born. Now, usually Uranus likes to drive change and innovation, and Pluto, obviously, big transformation. You'd think these two like to work together, but when they're on opposite sides, sometimes that means that there's an external force, an external situation, something else that's going to affect the changes happening, out with the old and in with the new. I'm not saying your old job is going to fall apart and a new one's going to suddenly appear, but there might be changes that shift you towards a new direction, a new future, a new sense of how do I want to bring my mind out there to the world and use that to the best of my abilities. And then this really kicks off, let's see, in July, when Pluto forms a positive aspect again to Mercury in your midheaven, but Uranus lines up perfectly in 4 degrees of Gemini, where the midheaven and Mercury were at the time of your birth. Now, the thing is, Uranus is really slow. It takes like 84 years to go full circle around. This is a once-in-a-lifetime transit, and usually once Uranus enters your 10th house, That means a total shift in direction of what you do, who you're becoming, person you're growing into. And I like that this is all happening at the same time as Jupiter lining up with where the moon was when you were born. This happens once every 12 years. So at the same time as your career and your future are shifting and changing, the way you express yourself, the way you use your mind towards your career, your future, your job, you're also stepping into a new 12-year chapter of who you are at heart. This is really getting to know yourself on a new level, emotionally, spiritually. With Jupiter on the moon, this kind of zooms in on focus and asking you, how do you really feel? And what do you really want? I love that you were born with the moon in Cancer in the 11th house. When you're asking what you want, somehow you're always involving others. It's always going to be about, right, but what does my family want? What do my kids want? What does my community want? What does my tribe want? What are the dreams and hopes and visions that you're working towards that you want to contribute to something bigger than yourself? What can I do for the animals, for the planet? This is such a beautiful part of who you are, to have that nurturing, caring energy about who am I in the context of what I can do for something bigger than myself. And that's really something you're stepping into on a new level here as well. Now, Pluto is going to be wobbling back and forth, forming the supportive aspect towards your future, towards using your mind in new ways. I don't know if you're going to step up your game as an activist in certain ways or, bring this out to the public, but what you create from your mind will have a substantial part to play in your entire future. And this year really kicks that off in such a huge way. I don't know if this year is going to be easy, but I do know it's going to be interesting and eventful. And the best thing you can do is keep asking yourself, who am I really now? What do I really want? And what direction do I want to go? Because at the end of the day, that is within your control. That is something that you get to steer this ship and decide what you want your future to be about. Now, granted, there are external circumstances that sometimes play a role that we have to adapt to, that we have to figure out, how do I navigate this? Who am I now when all this is happening? And you're no stranger to that. You've been through so much already. Total transformation is practically your middle name at this point. What you do get to control this year is the direction that you're going in. And it's going to be very exciting. And a lot can change, but that can be a really great thing for you as well. I'm so excited to see how this year plays out for you. And it's not really just going to be this year. Pluto is going to be forming this supportive angle towards your career and your future and your legacy and your mind 3 times in total. So first time in March, second time July, August, and third time somewhere between December and January. So watch how it kind of comes and goes in phases. You kind of step into the next level and maybe take a step back. Or like, ooh, this is really transformative and big. And then you come back to like, okay, I can navigate this. And oop, here we go. Let's finish the job. So let this process take the time it needs to take. Don't worry about making mistakes. Always just come back to what you feel is right for you, because in the end, that's what's going to guide you. Trust your intuition through this. I can't wait to see where this year leads you, and it's going to be great. Thank you so much for listening, and we will keep in touch.